Gina Miller, Ann Widdecombe and Katy Balls, who are, of course, still here. I'm glad to say you're still here. What do you think, Ann Widdecombe? You're out of the political fray in the sense... Well, thank heavens, that's what you're thinking. Yep. Praise the Lord. What have you made of the last, not just the last day, but the last weeks and months? And indeed the last 2 years have
Nearly
been...
3.
Well, OK, but certainly the last 2. I mean, yeah. The last 2 have, as I've said, we've had, and I'm going to say it, and I want to say all 3 before anybody tries to barge in and stop me. We've got the worst Prime Minister since Anthony Eden. We've got the worst leader of the opposition in the entire history of the Labour Party. And we've got the worst Parliament since Oliver Cromwell. And with that combination, we are actually engaged in the most important international negotiations for 50 years. Now, just let me say this. They don't come more Brexit than I am. I would be perfectly content with a no deal. Parliament isn't going to go with a no deal. Therefore, the Brexit people in Parliament, whom I support, have just got to get a bit realistic and to understand that their choices, the Prime Minister's deal, which at least sets us on the path to coming out, or Ken Clarke keeping us in, obeying their laws, obeying their rules, unable to trade with the rest of the world except on their terms, and free movement of labour also going as...
So you're saying they need to compromise?
I'm saying they need to get behind that deal because it is the best of several bad options.
Interestingly, Katy Balls, Guy Verhofstadt has just said hard Brexit looks almost inevitable now.
Yeah, and this is the point. I mean, we are seeing deadlock still in Parliament, slight movement, but overall it's still deadlock. But this could all change when we have this EU Council summit, because Theresa May, if she can't pass her deal this week, still looks very unlikely, is going to have to ask for another extension or try no deal, which we think would be stopped by Parliament. That extension, there's some talk of it being incredibly long, having caveats, could have something about a public vote on it potentially, or you could have figures say, you know, we've had enough of this. Britain is a problem child. We want done with it. And there is some talk that they won't actually offer that.
Oh, that would
and that could really change the picture.
That would be wonderful. Then we just get no deal. And that would then galvanise people into some action.
You might not feel the same way as Ann Widdecombe.
No, I don't. And I think actually if we were... I do agree with the fact that Parliament seems to be... incapable of coming up with a solution, and therefore Mrs may well be facing either the choice between an election which she said she won't lead, or another vote which she says she won't accept. But at some point this has to be stopped. But one of the things I think are very, very important to accept is that the EU isn't as united as they were 2 years ago. There are some of the member states saying, you know, we need to let them go. On that point, if it is no deal, hard Brexit, whatever, we as a country are not ready, and the UK's own, no, the government's own reports have said that. And if it is that choice, then there needs to be more time. So whatever it is, I think that the clearest path to this is for people to decide customs union, Mrs May's deal, revoking, remaining, whatever. No, the people. No, I've just said the people. No, I've said the second referendum. No, I've said the people, and I've only said, and I've not been a huge advocate of this because I've always seen it as a solution rather than an option. But I think all the other options now are not bringing a resolution, and for that reason, I think we need to, because even people who voted, you know, lots of people who voted leave would be very upset with the customs union, I think, because actually, single market or customs union, we've lost our voice. We are better than that. We shouldn't be a country in servitude. And that's why I think it really is important that we put it in a place where we can draw a line under this and move on.
Do you think the second referendum is even slightly likely?
I think it's hard to see how you would agree on the question, get the legislation out there. It's hard to see Theresa May going for that. I think if it looks like the numbers are there, then this government would probably choose a general election first.
And you had your head in your hands last when Gina Miller was talking about a general election.
It's just this assumption that no deal is going to be a big disaster. We were told that if we voted leave, there was going to be Armageddon the next day. Economy's doing very well. We've got...
Well, we haven't left yet.
But we would... No, that's not the point, Gina. We were told that if we voted leave, that was going to
But anyway, all the people today have said we're not going to have no deal.
We are where we are now.
We are where we are, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to... So that it doesn't go by default, because you and people who think like you are very keen to say no deal's going to be a big disaster.
No, I actually don't think
Gina Miller, Katy Balls,
going to be a big disaster.
I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it.